Hey friends, it's Hope and today I'm here to do a non-spoiler book review over November 9 by Colleen Hoover. I recently did a buddy read with my friend Megan over at Meagan Precourt and Rachel over at Rachel Hannah, and we all read this book a few weeks ago and I think we all really enjoyed it. I know that Megan recently did a non-spoiler book review and I will go ahead and link that review down below if you guys want to check out her thoughts on the book. But if you guys don't know what November 9 is about and you want to hear more of my thoughts, go ahead and just keep watching this video. But November 9 is the most recent book that Colleen Hoover has put out. The reason why I knew I needed to pick this book up was because my coworkers were putting me to shame and they were reading all of Colleen Hoover's books, and even though Coho is like my favorite author, I still have yet to read this one and maybe someday. So when Megan heard that I wanted to read this, she asked if I would do a buddy read with her, and then Rachel joined Run On in as well, and so it was just a great time reading this book together. So in this novel we follow Ben, who is an aspiring writer, and we follow Fallon, who is an aspiring actress, and they meet one night and decide that they want to get to know each other a little bit better. Even though Fallon is about ready to move from LA to New York, we see Fallon as this very insecure character at the very beginning of the book. She doesn't have a lot of support from her father, and she has a lot of emotional and inner scarring, as well as some physical outward scars from an accident that we later learn a little bit more about in the book. When Fallon is eating lunch with her not so supportive father, Ben kind of swoops in and saves the day, and they realize they definitely have more to offer each other, and so they continue to spend the rest of the day together and end up making a pact that every November 9th they are going to meet back up. But until then, they will not have a contact with each other because they don't want to get in the way of each other's aspirations. And Fallon has this thing about falling in love, and she isn't allowed to do it, or she doesn't think that she can fall in love until she's 23. So they make this pact to meet for the next 5 years on November 9th. And in the meantime, Fallon has requested Ben to write their story, whether it's their love story or their friendship story or whatnot, and turn it into his first novel. This book was by far the funniest book Colleen Hoover has written. I was cracking up, and my coworkers actually warned me that I was going to laugh a lot in this book, and they were definitely right. Ben was hilarious. His personality was just so spot on. I honestly felt like he reminded me a lot of Augustus Waters from The Fault in Our Stars. The reason why I say that is because just like Gus and Tifios, Ben would do anything to make Fallon laugh. It didn't matter if it was going to embarrass Ben. Ben just really wanted to build up self-confidence in Fallon and just make her smile and just have her enjoy life. Ben's goofy personality really grew on me, and I loved so much how he instilled confidence in Fallon. But with that said, he gave Fallon confidence enough to go out and do her own thing and learn to be confident with and without Ben, and I loved that so much. Fallon wasn't dependent on Ben, but he was influential enough to where she realized she was more than just the outward scarring that people saw. Ben obviously was the standout character to me. I feel like as the reader, I just enjoyed this book a lot more because of Ben. If you are an avid reader, booktuber, blogger, whatever, I think that you will love how Colleen Hoover just knew all of us readers' like innermost thoughts, and she incorporated so many book elements into this novel. It was super funny and really relatable. At times it did get a little cheesy, and at the very end I was like, okay, this is a little much, but it was a lot of fun reading about TBRs and book boyfriends, all the book shenanigans and talk that we probably use on a daily basis. It actually made me think, do I sound that crazy when I'm talking about books to other people? The answer is probably yes, but I feel like Colleen Hoover got the reader when she was writing this book, and I loved that aspect of it. The one downside to this novel was I feel like it happened so fast. I also feel like we should have gotten 100 more pages, and I feel like that for most Colleen Hoover books, but in this one specifically, I feel like the characters weren't as developed as most of her characters are in previous books that I read. I ended up rating this book a 4 out of 5 stars just because I had a couple of issues with it. I think I predicted the book to end so much differently than it really did, so that's another reason why I wasn't like over the moon about this book. But with that said, like a classic Coho fashion, she will just grip you with her writing. So while it wasn't my favorite, it did pull at my heartstrings so many times. The second November 9 was probably the most emotional one for me. I had tears streaming down my face. And this was probably one of the only Colleen Hoover books that I did not cry at the very end of the book, but I did cry throughout the read, if that makes any sense. So yeah, you guys will have to let me know if you guys have read this book or if you're thinking about picking it up. But yeah, I think that wraps it up for this non-spoiler book review over November 9 by Colleen Hoover. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'm sure I will see you soon. Bye!